punk. That's an excuse. You're a boy. You're not a man. You're a male and not a man. That's the kind of stuff that we do to black men. And it's got to stop. And until we have these honest conversations, in particular, until we start calling these sisters out too for being willing participants of cheaters, there's certain women out here, we don't talk about them enough, that purposely will go after a married man. I have experienced it since I've been married. I had a couple women jumping to my DM trying to squirt. And I said, well, my wife will be glad to talk to you. Here's her telephone number. And if you keep on, I'm going to give my wife your information and she's going to handle that. So I've had to handle it.
Yes.
I didn't say that to my wife.
Come on.
I didn't feel the need to. But I'm just sharing to say that it's not all on men out here. There's a lot of men out here that are being enticed. They're being come after. A lot of women see their success. They see their stature. They see their attractiveness. And there's some women out here that are willing to be side chicks, to tear up homes. And if that man is not mature, if that man is not forthcoming in his own situations, he will yield. It's no excuse, but I just need to say this again. We need to make sure that we talk about this thing in a very plural sense, because again, men don't cheat by themselves. Every man don't have to have their wedding ring to cheat. There's a man right now that's trying to keep a chick out his DM. There's a man right now that's trying to make sure that he don't do nothing crazy because this woman is constantly sending pictures and emails and phone calls and all this other stuff, and he don't know how to handle it. It happens every day. So again, I'm closing. I'm a preacher. It's not just the men. It's a bunch of stuff going on out here. And I'm done. I promise.
Man, okay, I have to dive in really quick, and then I'm gonna Chris Banks because he's been waiting. Okay, so I want to say this, Dr. Andrew, thank you so much for gracing the floor and gracing the stage. This is the type of conversation that I wanted to get into because you done said it all. Men do not cheat by themselves, and this is why we have to blame us women for allowing ourselves to be available to men. Men would never cheat if you didn't make yourself available. Okay, so that's one. Secondly, some women out there do have low self-esteem and they will settle for a married man who will give them part-time loving. Why are you settling with a man who has a whole family that he has to take care of? Because she's suffering from maybe daddy issues, low self-esteem, insecurities, whatever it is that she has, she is accepting a man to give him a portion of himself, which is horrible. Yes, men do make themselves available for women because women, most of them are available and easy, I can say. And this is a hard part, and we're faced with that harsh reality. Everything that you said, I agree with, because going back to what you said in regards to your woman having to, you pass your information to your wife. I love that part. The reason why I love that part is if we had more stand-up guys that would say, hey, chick, if you continue sending me messages like this, my lady will handle you. And that's a way that a man with a spine can actually handle a woman, because most men don't have spines. They want to entertain other women. They want to entertain, or maybe it's an ego trip too. Hey, this other woman is feeling me. I'll entertain this. I'm like, how do men have so much time? Because you're supposed to be working, taking care of your family anyway. So why are you wasting your time entertaining other women while you're supposed to be pouring your loving into your wife? So I'm Schneidine. I know I said a lot, but this is so good, juicy content. If you guys don't know who I am the owner of this club. We are in the Millennial Moms and Money Room. I go by the name of Schneidine, the Millennial Mom Money Expert. I teach people how to get out of debt and improve in their finances. If you're loving this kind of conversation, please click the green Monopoly house, join, become a member, and follow this room. And I also have it open. So if you guys want to also host in this clubhouse, you can, okay? For those two that don't know, I do teach finance. I specialize in savings and budgeting, ETF stock investing for beginners, and building business credit while having bad personal credit. I'm having a course program on Wednesday, April 14th, and it's in regards to all of this. So if you guys are interested, slide in my DM and I'll give you all the details, okay? So that's enough of the PSA. I want to continue on with this great conversation. Mr. Banks, the floor is all yours. I'm Schneidine and I'm done speaking.
Hey, thank you, Shanadine. I appreciate you for joining, bringing me into the conversation. I heard you name three men, but I had to make sure you name man number four. There's a fourth man. I bet y'all didn't see this one coming. There's a fourth man. Let me preference this one. I appreciate the pastors and Doc and everybody that's in here, preachers. I read my scripts, and I'm a patriarchal man. It's in my bio. I believe in patriarchy. I believe that the marriage is a patriarchal institution. And just biblically speaking, I like where you're going with the title, but I think that the title's just slightly missing the mark, from my forefathers' history. All right, I think that monogamy causes chaos. That's just where I'm at on it. I think that the society that we live in with is like, for example, hey ladies, don't you be the side piece, but meanwhile, it's more men than women. It's more women than men. And they sit on the sideline and be by themselves. I mean, I think that's low down. Second, I think that's because it's forced monogamy. And this is not new now. Don't look at me strange, because I was doing a little history on concubinage and the term what concubinage is. And throughout history, concubinage, when you didn't just come straight from your mom and dad house into a marriage, it's just a regular civil union. You know what I'm saying? Relationships and, people doing all this stuff. But even if you bring it into marriage, if you look into the history of the Negro, and I read this to you, and I would do a PTR, but I ain't going to do all that. I want to read something to you real quick.
Okay, I'm
very
ready.
Short. It's out of the encyclopedia, if you don't mind. In the Encyclopedia Britannica, it reads, it says, the domestic life of the Negro is based upon polygyny, and marriage is almost always by purchase. So vital is polygyny to the native social system that the attempts made by missionaries to abolish plurality of wives would, if successfully result in the most serious social disorder. Not only would enormous sections of the population be deprived of all means of support, but the native wife would be indefinitely harder work. Agriculture, the task of women, would be at a standstill, and infanticide would probably assume on dangerous proportions. And so when we talk about infanticide, we're talking about killing children for the age of 1. And looking at what the whole narrative. Now, I'm not saying that a man should be cheating. And I appreciate what Doc said. Like, when they be in the DM twerking and all that, you said you tell your wife. Well, I tell them a little something different. You keep on doing all that twerking, my wife don't think we might have to keep you, and you need to come wash some dishes. That's all I have to say is Mr. Banks is authentic.
So I love how you ended there, Mr. Banks. If you keep twerking, then my wife will have you come over and you gonna come wash the dishes at the house. I love it. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Come on, wash some dishes, some clothes, watch some babies. You don't be sliding around here for the free like that. We need you to come put this.
Put in some work. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing and bringing the encyclopedia out. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you too, Mr. Banks, because I know last night you were in the room with us when we did do the live and you came back. So I really, really appreciate you coming back and voicing what you wanted to say. So thank you so much. Yes, I know this is a heavy topic. It's a topic that a lot of people have experienced personally in their lives, seen it or heard about it. We're here talking about how cheating creates chaos in a household, how it affects the wife, the baby mama, the daddy, the children. So I want to dive in and talk about all of that. Anybody else wanted to say something really quick before we go to Clinton?
Well, I want to at least say this.
Okay.
I think if we're fair,
yes,
to always put polygamy as the natural order of African people is not necessarily true. For every African species, it is a continent, not a country. Several different societies in Africa had different types of ways they dealt with marriage, and if they did it that way, it was because in a heavily patriarchal society, then the women had to do those kind of things because they were not allowed to do anything else besides that. Yeah. So if we're fair, and if we look at how society has evolved, and if you look at the laws of the land, marriage was always based on what society decided that they wanted to have marriage look like. So in America, you may have some different things that you do, and it may not be recognized by the state, but you can do those things. Now, me personally, from what I've seen, and even some of the things that I've studied, I've never seen those things go as well as people say that they do. Because there's always chaos. There's always certain aspects of their lives that's not perfect either. Because the energy is off. And even in those societies when it was doing that, a lot of the times I studied the story of Shaka Zulu, which they're actually about to remake into a TV series. You saw the original movie from the 80s. You saw how the mothers was basically battling over the throne, and Shaka comes along. It was a secret love child of a woman that was not in the royal palace. So when you understand how all that looks, it sounds like there was never any chaos. But trust me, being married, period, and dealing with human relations, whether it's one-to-one or whatever floats your boat, there's always chaos as relates to somebody's not going to feel like they're getting the most of the best out of the relationship. So God bless you if you think you can handle that. Look, I got one woman, and that's all I can handle. I wish in my mind, if I was honest, in my male mind, thinking mind, like, man, it would be nice to have a stable of women like Prince Akeem, giving me baths in the morning, cooking my dinner at night.
What about Abraham? What about Abraham or Jacob? You know what I'm saying? David? I'm talking about my forefathers. It ain't just, I don't want to say just Africa. I just know the Israelites, you can have many wives you can take care of and concubines, and that's just the way it was.
Let me help you with something. With Abraham, Abraham decided to take on concubines. Now, the culture of the day, see, the one thing about God that I've always loved and still love is that he is not hamstrung by allowing culture to stop his will from getting done. So Abraham willingly took on those features, those cultures, because if you study Zechariah, who was also a man of the Hebrew faith, he did not have more than one wife. His wife was Elizabeth, and he never laid down with another woman trying to make a child. His wife was barren. And we got Joseph. The Bible does not say that Joseph had more than one wife. Now, Moses had more than one wife, but he had more than one wife because when he left to go back and free the Hebrews, he did not take that wife with him. So when you understand...
Isaac had one wife too, but it wasn't forced in the society. That's the difference. It's the preference of the man.
But see, here's the thing. Like I
we're learning, ladies. We're learning.
You understand the societal pressures of that time. Women were not allowed to have their own life from the standpoint of if they decided not to marry. They couldn't. It was no such thing as a woman deciding not to marry. And if they did, it had to be something. If they didn't, it had to be something that was so wrong with them that nobody wanted to take her up as a wife. Why do you think that Laban did what he did to Jacob by tricking him? Is his uncle tricking him? Because nobody wanted to marry a cockeyed chick. So that's why he tricked Jacob to take on his oldest daughter Leah, as his wife. So come on now, that's historically accurate.
I'm gonna be very historically accurate. Now, if I may, I'm just saying that it is the preference of the man. And when I look through Assyrian history, Mesopotamia, Roman, Greek, all of them had concubines. This is what you're talking about just popped up probably in the last 100 years. You see what I'm saying? And the institution, and then when you say, I've been doing this from the institution of what we're talking about of marriage, the term marriage is patriarchal. So when you say, so if it's not patriarchal, that means we have to become matriarchal, which is what we call matrimony. That's what people are brought into the holy matrimony, where it's the mother state versus the father state, which is associated with the patriarchal lineage of Christ. Okay, that's the distinct difference. So patriarchal society that was male led.
Let me ask you,
and they had as many wives they could take care of.
Let me ask you this, because from a spiritual standpoint, marriage was always supposed to point to God's love affair with mankind as a whole. So when God said that I'm jealous, you can't have another God before me.
That's right.
Then we're not looked upon as multiple wives, as those of us as his children. We'll look at an entire body as his entire bride, which is only one.
I like the way you're going with that. Okay, God got multiple wives. I got you. Okay.
No, that's not what I said. And I'm very clear about what I said.
That's not what he said, man.
That's okay. I can handle that. What I just said was that, again, the church or the body of believers is considered one wife. So that's one wife. God is the husband. So that's only a relationship between a husband and a wife, which points to what God truly intended when it came to the marriage.
Matthew 25:1, Doc. Matthew 25, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is likened to being able to pick 10 virgins, and 5 of them had sins, and 5 of them didn't have sins, and 5 went into the marriage. That's Matthew 25:1 for reference.
Husband men means that there's more than one. He didn't say husband man.
Go read it, Doc. He only said husband man.
But either way, the laws of the land and the marriage. I understand Rome and Assyria. We don't live in those times. We live in times right now. So if you go and try,
you still live in Rome.
No, that's your opinion. I don't believe that. Now, I'm not saying that what you believe is wrong because there's documented record that it has happened. But I'm saying based on the laws of the land and where we live right now, and what I believe that God intended that marriage was supposed to be, it was
There's nothing in the American law that says a man can't have a concubine. It say you can only marry one wife on paper. That's all it say. It ain't no law to say a man can't have a concubine.
But I tell you what, go down there and let them say that you had a mistress and you in a marriage and you're a rich man. See how much money you could. Ask Tiger Woods what happened to him. He had to give up half his fortune. Ask Michael Jordan what happened.
That's right, and this is why we're having this room because this is no. Wait. Hold on. I'm saying this is why we're having this discussion because we're talking about how infidelities causes chaos because everything is based around finances. If you are a man and you know you got to bring baking at the house, why are you dividing the household finances with 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 to 10 other mistresses? That's why we're over here having this discussion. Society. Yes. Well, this is exactly why we're having this discussion. Go ahead.
When you talk patriarchy, you bring them all in the realm of one house under one man instead of, serial monogamy, bouncing from man to man to man to man, and playing hot potato, and everybody just playing hot potato, and somebody gonna get left out.
That's all I'm saying. Can I jump in here for a second?
Yes, please jump in.
Yeah, I've been quiet for a minute listening. Just to state, and Banks, I appreciate your perspective as well. All perspectives welcome for me, but that don't mean I agree with it. But just staying on topic. A mistress and concubine. This is 2 different topics. You see what I'm saying? This topic is about cheating. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's a little different from what you brought to the table, which I respect what you brought to the table. But this is a total different thing, a total different conversation. And I definitely respect what Dr. Pat brought to the table. But I just wanted to go back to something, just trying to stay just close to the topic as possible. Just trying to stay close to the topic as possible. I just want to say this one thing. I wanted to say something a long time ago, so I'm going back a little bit. Men are visual. Just going backwards a little bit. Men are visual, right?
Yes.
We all know that. We are visual, right? What we see. God made us this way. We got to complain about it. We got to argue with God. That's just who we are. When you log on Instagram or any of these social media accounts, everybody is naked. Everybody is naked. Like 98% of the women on Instagram is naked. And they call themselves Instagram models. So they just put a pretty term on it. They're just
they dressed it up. They dress it up.
Yeah, they just dressed it up. They just dressed it up. But really what they're doing is they're using their body to attract men. That's all it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
and it's something that men always fall for. Men always take the bait.
You're absolutely right. But going back to even something that Dr. Pat said, the side chick thing is even being celebrated. I mean, we know Country Wayne, comedian. We all look at him. I look at him. I laugh at the stuff he do. But half of what he do is about side chicks. It's accepted.
You look at the comments, it's accepted. You have women now. I mean, career women, 6, 7 figure a year women that are willing to accept those roles. And I myself, like Dr. Patton, I have women in my DMs. I have women in the ministry. I have women that try to follow me around, all kinds of crazy stuff. It was so bad one time, one of my mentees' wife started inboxing me. And at first, I'm not thinking nothing about it because of who she is. They're young. Both of them are like 21. I mean, the young girl is beautiful as all outdoors. And she started inboxing me. So I can immediately, like Dr. Patton said, I connected up to my wife. I said, babe, my wife is not really into ministry like that. She's just more of a support for me, but she's not really into the counseling. She just don't really do all of that. But with situations like this, I try to bring her in. Not bringing her in just because it's a woman. I'm bringing her in to protect me. That's why I'm bringing her in.
I love it.
I'm being real with myself because every Superman has a kryptonite, and it's up to you to know what your kryptonite is. And I know for a fact, for me, I'm not going to be talking to this beautiful 21-year-old woman one-on-one all the time. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. None of that. So long story short, I put her on my wife, and she's still ignorant. She talked to my wife for a few times, and then she started by inboxing me. And I'm like, no, you need to talk to my wife, and you need to stay over there with my wife. You need to stay over there. To the point where my wife got upset and, sent her a long text and told her pretty much to just stay away from me, and she still inboxed me. So now you explain that. So I've been in those situations, like Dr. Pat said, it does take two to tango. Men can't do this alone. Yes, men continue to fall into it. We're visual. And if a man doesn't have the discipline, if he don't have the discipline, and the discipline to walk away, the discipline to say no, the discipline to turn away. Because when you're talking about faith, even when you come on the faith side, the enemy is only going to present to you the things that you struggle with. And if your things with women in the street, that's what he's going to present to you in the church. If your things with drugs in the street, he's going to present drugs. I had to bring this guy up, but if you look at what's the boy name in Orlando, the pastor that died in Orlando, I got no disrespect to him. Right, God bless his soul. You bring up Dr. Tim. He was a powder head, but we consider it in the street before he was saved. He loved to snort powder. So when he got into church, what was his struggle? He started snorting powder. And then he ended up with different women in hotels snorting cocaine. So what am I saying? The enemy only gonna come at you and attack you with your weaknesses. And for most men,
all the time,
it's the woman. It is the woman. We can't help that. God has made y'all as beautiful as y'all are. But young men have to be taught the proper way to be a man and the proper way to treat our women. This is why I like and follow guys like Dr. Patton and many others who will hold you accountable, hold men accountable, and also holding women accountable. I don't have time to follow anybody. So if I follow somebody, I want to follow somebody that can pour into me as a young man.
Amen.
I still consider myself a young man. I want to be poured into. I want to do this marriage thing right because I have a daughter that's watching me and I have 3 boys that's watching me. And my legacy, I don't want my legacy to be my father was a good daddy, but my father sure would tell up a couple women he had a whole other family across town. I don't want that because no man is going to treat my daughter like that. And I've already told her that. Yes, I'm going to get in my daughter's business, and I don't care what nobody say about it.
That's
no
right.
man is going to have my daughter in no polygamy relationship. Ain't no man going to be treating my daughter all type of ways and having 4 and 5 kids. My daughter ain't going to be no baby mama. My daughter going to school next year. She's going to Baylor. She wants to be a doctor. And guess what? She ain't going to be nobody baby mama. I'm sorry. She's not going to be that. She's going to be a wife or she ain't going to be nothing. And I'm going to check them clowns at the door. So all I'm saying is, us men that are doing it right and trying to do it, striving to be better, I think it's imperative that we teach the younger men this is the way to do it. But when they turn on the TV, who they see? Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, nope, not calling nobody out, but naked. Black China, everybody is naked. Everybody is naked. You listen to some of Nicki Minaj, Cardi B songs. It's like, oh my God, how did you listen to that? All they talk about is sucking and licking and swallowing. But our young boys are watching this. This is what they're hearing all day long. So now they're not just hearing it from the uncle. They're not just hearing it from the big cousin. They're hearing it from the women now.
Yeah.
You come over here and this is what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah. Woo.
So we have to push back. Yeah, you can't come in. But I'll say this last thing. It's not an excuse. And I want to continue to put that on the table. It's not an excuse. But it's a hard pill to tell our young men to be faithful when all they see is nakedness and all they hear is sex. That's all that's being displayed in front of them. Yes. It's hard for them to make the right choice every time. I'm McCarthy Blaze, I'm done speaking.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, man, that was heated. I'm lost for words. I don't even know what to say. You guys, this conversation is just so heated and I love it. Thank you for this conversation. Keep it going. Who wanted to say something next?
I have something I want to say real briefly.
YouTube family, I'm about to shut it down. This is the second part of part 2. I'm going to shut it down right now. Thank you so much for engaging in this conversation. I'm continuing here on Clubhouse because I have got to run, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Continue watching the rest of the content. Go back and watch part 1 of this, which was recorded, streamed live last night, okay? Thank you so much. I'm Schneidine, the Millennial Mom Money Expert. I teach people how to get out of debt, and we're talking about finances in a relationship. And we'll talk very soon. Bye-bye.
And, I mean, his third wife, 50 years old, just gave birth to a daughter. You know what I mean? And he has like 4